but this is a different deal. This is a whole different thing.
The funny thing about the date, and he loves this story.
I hate this.
He hates this story.
She sees people in a really great way.
One of the things that just surprises me over and over again is how much he chooses us.
Now, Chris, last time you were here, there was a work-related reason you were here. Lauren, we were at a movie theater. I think, wasn't there like a national?
Yeah, like a night of worship.
Yeah.
Yeah, Worship Night in America. Like we kind of did a movie screening across the country.
All I remember was that we were at the movie theater the night before, and I don't know whose idea it was, but for Lauren to agree to come in and do an interview, because how often do you join Chris on interviews, Lauren?
I never join him.
This will be the second time.
Wow. Well,
you guys are just that creative to get us together for this.
Second time. Here we go.
Well, we really appreciate it, and we're glad we didn't scare you off the first time. So thanks for.
It was so good. It was. I mean, get Lauren going, and you just don't need me anymore. It's like that's what I learned from that first interview. It's like, man, that's great. Just get her talking, and I'll just move out of the way. I'll just keep playing songs, let her do the interviews from now on. That'd be amazing.
Well, we may not remember how long ago that was, but here's a softball. How long have you guys been married, and how long did you guys date before that? I know you guys know the answer to those.
Well, we've been married 13 years, and we dated
a year.
I mean, I don't know if you'd call it dating, but we dated for about a year. Like I think that was one of our. You know, I met Lauren when I moved to Atlanta, and everybody was like, "You got to." A friend of mine, I was there for 2 weeks. Been in Atlanta for 2 weeks. I live in Nashville now, but I've been in Atlanta for 2 weeks, and a friend of mine was saying, "Hey, I got this girl. You need to meet her. She's single. She doesn't stay single long. I'll never forget that single girl. And but she's single right now. You need to go with her." So we went on a double date like a couple weeks after that, and started dating, I would say, and then
while he's touring. So that's
so I was just not. I was a normal dude. I was a normal guy, and so I was not committing. You know, I was like being a guy and not like being like, okay, moving this along relationship. And so Lauren, she's just not having that, and so short story, she broke it off with me, and I was like, oh my gosh, and. Took us a while to figure it out, and took me a while to figure it out. And but thankfully, God brought us back together. So that was all about a year before getting married. So you can imagine we'd only really known each other a year. And
we did not know each other.
We did not.
Let's just be real.
Let's be honest. Yeah.
And so I've been single a long time. It took me a long time to find Lauren and get married. And so I had that whole life of touring, and I had years of touring under my belt. So. You know, kind of life my way, right? And then
it was a collision of sorts.
Collision of sorts.
That's putting it mildly.
And so we dove in the deep end year one.
Got pregnant a month in.
So we had a baby before our first anniversary. So that was fun. And
another collision.
Yeah, that'll change things.
Just everything in life changed in that year. But here we are, 13 years. And going strong, and it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey, and so grateful for all of it.
Well, let's rewind 13 years to that first date. When you guys first walk in on this double date and you set eyes upon each other for the first time, what was your
you don't like this?
What was your impression? Like first impression, or by the end of the night, if not the very first?
Yeah, for me, this was a big deal for me because I went on this date sight unseen. Let's just say that
I've never heard
completely blind date. I had no idea what she looked like, and that's not normal for me. I like to have all my information out before I make my decisions. Yeah. And my friend said, just trust me. And I remember we had to pick her up, and she walked out, and I was like, oh my gosh, this girl is gorgeous. So I was already just like, oh, wow. Because Lauren doesn't do any social media or anything like that, never has, but she had a Facebook page, so I was trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Her picture on her Facebook page.
I didn't know any of this.
Her picture on her Facebook page back then was the back of her hair. She's looking at flowers in the back of her head. That was her picture. I had no idea what she looked like. I couldn't even do any kind of recon. And so
I hope you're still friends with this guy because he did you right.
he did me so right. I mean, she's so beautiful, and she was just stunning that night. And so
Lauren?
that was my first impression. Like, wow.
So the funny thing about the date, and then he loves this story.
I hate this.
He hates this story. So literally, we're at this great restaurant in Atlanta, and literally he talks to the couple the entire time.
We do a double date. It's a double date.
And does not look at me
No.
at all. Does not direct anything to me at all. And so afterwards, I called my mom. I was like, I don't understand how somebody who sings to hundreds and thousands of people can't engage a conversation.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
at this table. It was interesting because then I went out to California for makeup school, and then he was, of course, on a tour, and we started talking on the phone. And that's when I really was like, wow, this guy's a lot of fun, because he was like, I expected him to be more serious. You know, you think of worship leader and you think like stoic,
Yeah.
you know, perfect, you know, all those labels that he has to fight against. And so he had just such this humor, and he was like recalling some of Michael Bublé's jokes from his tour. And I was like, this guy is like really fun. So it was a slam dunk after that.
All right. That was first date. I don't know that you ever disclosed this or not either. Who said I love you first?
Ooh,
That was you.
definitely me. Yeah, that was me. I've never.
When we probably got back together.
Yeah, absolutely, when we got back together, because it was like I hadn't said obviously that, and that caused the breakup, of course. And then and we finally got back together. I knew that once I had tried to get back to this girl, and she was on setting her sights on other things, and she was on moving on, and she had moved on, and but God worked it out in an amazing way, and there was an opportunity to step back in, and I got to do that. I knew that there was no messing around at that point. There was no like, oh, let's date again. You know, there was no like, if we're coming back together after all I've tried to do, this is the real thing. I mean, this is a committing. I'm stepping forward, and I had all that time right without her to realize, oh my gosh, if I could just get her back, then that would be, then I'm not losing her again. So that was an easy one after that.
All right, so we've recapped your first date. Fast forward 13 years, life, kids. What's date night look like for you guys now?
Brick Tops.
Yeah, we go to this little restaurant called Brick Tops, and
It's like a Houston,
it's
more
like,
or less.
well, it's
Okay.
like a little, it's like it's just a nice little restaurant.
Lower lighting, it's
And-
warmer.
And that's what we get to do.
in-tone.
That's what we do.
We love it.
We kind of got one spot.
Yeah,
and
that's
we'll
all right.
Go to that, and that's our thing, and it doesn't come often enough. And
It makes it
I
easy
like-
when you have a go-to.
Yeah, yeah.
here's for me though. I like date lunch better than date night.
Yeah.
And
Which is surprising.
I just like it better. I'm better. By the end of the day, I'm done. My
Yeah.
mind's done.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
like
fair.
fried. I'm like, but that lunch, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And so,
So next question then. Is there something, Lauren, that Chris says, does, a look in his eye that you're like, I feel the love? Like, you know, in that moment that you know you're loved by him.
Okay, this is a great question. So something he always does for me that probably feels like something small, but it is significant, because so much of my life, our girls' life, is we celebrate and we come around, you know, what he does with touring. You know, our life is oriented around the schedule. But one way that he really sacrifices in a sweet way is I have a small group that comes over to my house every other week. And during the winter, he's always lights all the candles, makes a fire for the room. And so it's just so sweet, because it's obviously for me, but it's also him stepping around what, you know, I do with this group. And I've never asked for it. I've never said to him, you don't celebrate me. And then he had to strive for it. Like, he just naturally does it. And it's just so sweet.
That is really cool.
He's the ambiance guy. Like, if it's music, candles, he always says that I blow out the room with bright lights.
Lauren,
So he's always doing.
Lauren would turn the lights on like a hospital room, like we're having surgery.
Surgery.
In our living room. Like, let's dim the lights a little bit.
Right.
Let's get a fire going.
Well, Chris, what about you? What's a small thing that Lauren does that makes you feel loved?
This is such an everyday thing, but it's the everyday things, right? That's what you're talking about. That's Valentine's Day, and so this is about everyday love, and it's home cooking. I mean, she is so good at it, and she didn't have to do it. We got 3 girls, young, pulling on her, all the things as a mom, and yet she really takes the time to do something. Dinner is always really great. It's always, she's puts her heart into it, creative. She's not just throwing chicken strips in the fryer, but or just putting in a,
Well, when you leave, we do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I'm home, she really goes out of her way to make really great food, and that's just what I really appreciate. It feels warm, feels homey, feels like it should, and I'm always grateful for that. It's, you feel loved that way.
So is there something that Lauren does or that Chris does that you're like, I love you, and I just do not get that? Like something they're into, something that like makes them light up, and you're like, I don't get it.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes. Makeup. The amount of makeup that is on. I understand that ladies like makeup. That's great. But this is a different deal. This is a whole different thing. There is I would have this little section over here of the sink, and it's just like, there's so much color. There's so many things. I don't even understand. I don't even know what they are. So when we go on a trip, guess what? We have to take 3 bags because one of them is just
No, it's not.
makeup. It's just
It
makeup.
is not.
It's just makeup. And so I was like, wow, let's just look. Can we simplify this? And she's like, no. This is what I do. This is what I love. And I was like, okay.
And Lauren?
I love color. It's kind of my creative outlet, but
Okay.
it is slightly messy. That is the truth.
Slightly.
Something for him that you just don't get? Yeah.
Yeah. So for Chris, he puts on a Carhartt jacket and he goes into the woods and calls Felix, who is our landscaper, and they strategize on how to clear the woods. So we have forest behind our house. And so when Elle was born, there was just a lot of stress in that. Like, it was timing. It was such a surprise. She had some health issues with a tongue tie. And so during that time, I couldn't understand why our tabs to Felix were just astronomical during that season. But what Chris was doing was he would go out in the woods and clear the trees with Felix. Like, he would literally traipse out in the woods every day to visit with Felix.
Yeah.
And I think it was just, it was a sense of nature and beauty and all of that. But it was a funny season.
During the stressful times, she's like, have you ever noticed when it's really stressful, you go out and
take down trees.
Start tearing trees down. I didn't really put it together, but guess I do.
That's fun.
So at the beginning of this conversation, you guys mentioned, really, by the time you got married, you didn't really know each other like you do now. What's the best surprise you've uncovered about each other?
That's a great question. Wow. My surprise from Lauren is how intentional she is with people. That's probably the biggest gift that she has been. I can't tell you how many times she has a really gift of prayer. Obviously, I didn't know that she had this gift of prayer when we were dating, that she really hears from God in a special way and gets words from God for people. And she shares that with people. And I can't tell you how many times I'm in a conversation with someone that go, your wife texted me, and it was right on time with this thing. And she had this thing for me, and it just came out of the blue. I hadn't texted her. She texted me out of something, and God gave her something for me, and it was the perfect thing. I've had that so many times. And so she sees people in a really great way. And she's very into for me, my life has been about singing in front of lots of people. And I see lots of people, and I enjoy that. And she's so the one-on-one. She's so just the individual person, seeing that need and seeing people in a great way. So that's definitely a gift that I've seen that I didn't know, obviously, when I first met her.
for Chris, this is an easy answer, but just how present he is. You don't really realize all the demands when someone is on the road and more in a public space. There definitely is perception and people pulling, and there's opportunities, like so many amazing experiences and people who want to take him here or do that. And one of the things that just surprises me over and over again is how much he chooses us. And wow. I have to kick him out the door. Like literally, hey, like this weekend, there's guys gathering skiing. And he's like, I just don't know if I should be. I'm like, no, you're going. Like, you need to do this. And so that's something I cherish. And I never anticipated he would be that engaged and present at home. I'm not an obligation, but like I want to.
And if he didn't go on that trip, that he'd be out with Felix in the woods again.
Touche.
It's easier and cheaper to just let him go ski.
Just go to that trip.
I love that. That's so good.
We don't have many more trees left.
Exactly.
Is there a bucket list that you guys have, like bucket list dreams for each other, for your family? What comes to mind when you think about that? You guys see the world, you have amazing opportunities, but is there anything that you would just pray, man, whether it's bucket list or a dream or a desire, a God desire, what would that be?
For me, it would be so much fun to go back to where we got married in Kona in Hawaii. There was like this little point that kind of sat out along a jetty of rocks, and we had plans to go see it in 2020, but COVID happened, all travel got shut down, and then we got pregnant with our surprise third child, Elle. Yeah. So that kind of put a pause to all of that, because that's a pretty big trip, just timing and, packing up everyone, a toddler in tow. But one of these days, we would love to the two of us to get out.
That'd be a bucket list trip for sure to do that one day again. But I think just as far as dreams and prayers, it's for Lauren and I both would say for our girls to just, just to continue to know who they are, and that's just that's everything. At the end of the day, I keep learning that. At the end of the day, all you got is your family, and those right there close, and everything comes and goes in this life, but the core of your family is what's so precious. And so for me, I'm always praying for them and have a dream for them they're amazing girls, but to continue to know who they are, and to and we've been talking about like a verse for our family for this year, like asking the girls, what verse in the scripture, like, you want to like claim this year or like hold on to this year. And it's been beautiful to see that. And one of the verses that God brought us to is in Proverbs 22:1. It says that a good name is to be treasured above all riches. Mm-hmm. And I was telling the girls about, at the end of the day, all you have is your name, and you can have all the things in the world, but when people say Ashland, or they say Madison, or they say Elle, when they say your name, what do they think about you? What does that mean? What comes to mind? And that's what's the most important thing. The Bible says that's what would be more treasured than anything. And so them walking in that and knowing that who they are is as a dad would definitely be the ultimate bucket list, that they're like confident in who they are.
Well, when I think of Chris and Lauren Tomlin, the things that come to mind, Chris, I have seen you in concert a bunch of times, but when I think of your name, I think of a couple things. You telling that story of you by a tree when you were young, and God calling you to something you weren't yet chasing. Yes. Right? I think of that heart. Right? The reason you can lead the masses in worship is because He's captured your heart when you were a kid. And that's why you sing and why you worship. I think of that when I think of you. And then I think of you guys in studio together, Lauren, and Him surprising you with a song and you crying. And I think of now, this will be part of what I think of you guys. Like, collision into team family, right? Like you guys are for each other. You guys understand each other, who's God called you to be. So I don't know. I can't tell you how many songs of yours we've played, Chris, or how many times I've seen you in, but man, I just am so thankful for who you are, that how you love your wife, how we get a glimpse into that today. Man, that's, as you said, that's the good stuff. Like that's what's going to outlive us. That's what's going to matter and count. And so to get a glimpse at this close of a level, which I know most of our listeners don't, it means so much. So love you guys and your family. So.
You made me tear up again.
On a day that's focused on love. I mean, Sandy said it best, but we love you guys, truly. The morning of you guys in studio is one of our highlights of being on air together. And I so appreciate this time together today.
Thank you, Nick.
We love you guys.